Okay. Yeah.
So, hi everybody. Hello. Hi. I'm Antonio. This is Webapps, our meetup, monthly meetup. You have the screen behind me. If anybody needs Wi-Fi password is there for any social guests. Also, Webapps has a website. You can go visit it. It'll always show the latest meetup and links to our GitHub with documentation about various things. So one couple things I want to announce before we get started. Coming up soon in April is Hack for a Cause. This is a event sponsored by the Technology Association of Oregon. It'll be at the Downtown Athletic Center. Currently, they are collecting submissions for challenges for developers. So if you know a business that maybe has a challenge that can be solved with technology, but they don't really know how to go about it or something like that, it might be good to point them to hackforacause.io and have them submit it for this challenge. Several of us here at IDX did the challenge, or did the hackathon last year, and it's cool, it's fun. It's hacking for 48 hours and neat when your thing goes out to the wild and lives there. So, something to check out. What was it? Oh, anybody else wants to give a talk? Please visit our GitHub. We have documentation and kind of the recommendations for giving a talk. I think we're booked through April, so we're looking for the next half of the year to book up for these talks. Keep them nice and consistent, so we always have fun talking about new web development technologies. So, that being said, let's get started on the talk.
Okay, I didn't expect applause, but it's nice. Nobody said it here, so I didn't need to be warm and cozy in here. Well, welcome. It's an honor to be introducing you to Elm. First, has anyone heard of Elm before this talk? Oh, good. So it's like really popular. It's freaking me out a little bit. Okay. Did you bring a laptop? How many people brought laptops? Am I seeing like 50%? Look around the room. Does it look like? Okay. Because I wanted to do some trying Elm hands-on stuff at the end of this, but we'll see how that goes. So let's jump into it. So I'm Nichols. I'm an engineer at Puma. It's kind of a new startup. Been around for a year. And I'd like you all to stand up real quick. I saw a really cool talk, so just stand up real quick. And just to get your blood pumping, I want you to do like 5 air squats. It's like 1, come on everyone, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay. We stretch, just stretch it out. Stretch the other way. Okay, alright, that's good. Okay, you can take a seat. So, about a month ago, I found something that was amazing. I got super stoked and got obsessed with this thing. And it's called Elm. So I wanted to kind of give a little historical overview of where Elm sits. So thanks to my friend David over here, shout out to him who runs the Go meetup here in town. We put together this awesome timeline that just shows, this is 60 years of assembly, B, C, Java, JavaScript, and then more recently Elm, which has been around now for 4 years, 9 months and 22 days. That might not be exact, but about 4 years. So let's zoom in on this little piece. Each little block here represents a version of Elm. So there's the 0.1 release, and it goes all the way up to the present day. So 0.18 now, as of 2 months ago. And Rita told me not to say so I'm gonna try not to say But yeah, so 2 months now, and we're on our way to version 1.0. So I'm really excited. Seeing that 0.18 is exciting for me because it just means that starting being a part of something that's new and hopefully maybe some changes to address certain things. So yeah, what is Elm? I did see a lot of hands go up, so you might already know all this. But yeah, it compiles to JavaScript. It could potentially compile to x86. It could compile to whatever because it's type safe or it's statically strong typed. And I know this because I talked to Abby last weekend in San Francisco. He's the inventor of the Elm language. So I had a good conversation with him. Lots of, it was good. He told me about the language, and I was at this place called No Red Ink. And No Red Ink is, they have the largest code base for Elm in the whole world. And they were doing a workshop on Elm, so I went there to be like a teacher's assistant and help out, even though I was pretty new to it. Hey, grab a seat. How you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah. Hey, Mom. All right, so what was I saying? Yeah, and so the cool thing about this is that, the title of my presentation, by the way, is fast and free of runtime errors. So how many of you have seen undefined is not a function? Have you ever seen that? Okay, so imagine if you didn't see that anymore. Now, there's still some side effects, like the other day I saw this weird pre-flight. So I'm still seeing red stuff in my console, but you won't see that anymore due to Elm. But if it's related to maybe an HTTP request, then it's not Elm small, so let's not blame Elm. But there's no more runtime errors, which is this is the thing that drew me to Elm. I was like, they're promising that, is this real? So I wanted to explore that. So, so they've more than a year in production. It hasn't produced a single runtime error. And then also, there's no more surprise patch releases. How many of you rely on other people's code? You should see every single hand go up, unless you live under a rock somewhere. So has someone else's code broke your code? Yes. Okay. So that's a problem. And part of this is due to something called sentimental versioning. Is anyone familiar with that term? That you feel a certain way about your code, and so you bump the version number? Has anyone ever done that? Okay, this is 2.0 now, right? But then everyone who relies on that is saying, wait, is it, what happened? So something that's cool in Elm, the Elm package system, is if you change the footprint of your API, the surface area, if you will, the functions, if you add a function or take away a function, then the semantic versioning is enforced. So it's major, minor, patch, I think. So your major has to get bumped. So you'll see that enforced in the Elm package system, which is similar to NPM. How many of you have ever used NPM? Okay, tons of hands. And the other thing that's neat is that it has its own virtual DOM implementation. So React, Angular, they all have virtual DOM, and it's designed for simplicity and speed. Everything's immutable in Elm, and so the benchmarks show that this helps us generate particularly fast JavaScript code. So I'd like to show you that really quick. These are some of the benchmarks. If you've been to the website, you've seen this before. I wanted to just do a quick little debugger here. Can you guys read that okay? I can try and make it larger. Zoom in, maybe make this big. And there. How's that? Is that a little better? Okay, cool. So what should we compare? Let's do Elm 1.7. What's your favorite? You want to do Angular, React?
React.
Okay, let's do React. So what this is essentially going to do is, have you heard of to-do MVC? So this is going to do a bunch of adding to-dos, marking to-dos as complete, and then deleting them. And it's going to do this really fast for both. And then it's going to compare the speed of how fast it went through. I think it's called the digest. The virtual DOM is spitting stuff out, and you're changing the DOM a lot. And so we're going to run it really fast. You do 100 things, and then here's reactive ink. And then those are the results. So Elm over here is at 2 seconds, or 2,054 milliseconds, and then 3,000 milliseconds. So it's a bit slower. These are the optimized solutions. Yeah, you can compare a lot of stuff here. So check out the slides and you can play around with this. It's kind of fun. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is tooling. I don't have my presenter notes. I guess I have one up somewhere. I have good transition sentences. So one of the really cool things that came as of, I think it's Elm 0.14, so we're 0.18, so a few versions ago, is this thing called a time-traveling debugger. Has anyone heard of this? One or two? Okay, cool. So just get ready for your jaws to drop for a second. We're going to play, has anyone played Mario? We're going to play Mario, right? So I'm going to open Mario. So on the left you see a bunch of Elm code, and on the right you see Mario down there. And so I'm going to play some Mario, so I'm going to click over here. I'll play some Mario. I'm making him jump with my keyboard. And then up there on the right-hand side is sort of the data model that's backing this whole game. So I'm going to pause, and now I'm going to rewind in time. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see this. But notice the arrows and then the Mario data structure with the direction and the VX, VY. I can actually zoom back through here, and you'll see your data model change. And you'll also see your view change. So I can zoom back here, and I can see him hopping back and forth frantically, catching up with time travel debug. So this is really nice. As of recently, they included this into Elm, so you can run your Elm code. And what's really awesome is you can go through your whole application. So you have this huge application, and if you find some bug and you're like, oh, how did I get to this? Like I logged in and I hit all these buttons. The whole time your model is changing, and if you have debug on, then you can do time travel debugging. And you can actually, okay, I'm jumping ahead of myself. This is so cool because you can export your history of what you just did, all the actions you took, and then you can import it back in, and it'll replay all those actions up to where you left off in your state. So state management is not a headache anymore. And I think a lot of JavaScript, I'm a full stack developer, full disclosure, like that's a big disclaimer. So I'm kind of a generalist, but because of Elm, I've been getting more interested in front-end design and development. It's kind of cool for me, but where was I going with that? Yeah, so what was I saying? What was I saying? Is that managing state?
Debugging state.
Yeah, debugging state. You can export, you can import. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to get to that in a second. The other tools, so inside Elm Reactor is this tool where you can put your Elm code in a directory somewhere, and then you can run Elm Reactor. So I can show you that really quick. So like if I make like main.elm, and then I type Elm Reactor, then it's going to serve my code on port 8000, and then it's not going to do anything, but because there's nothing there, and there's nothing to build. And it's trying to build it, and it takes a while because it has to download some things, but this might just glitch out. Yeah, I ran into something unexpected with parsing your code. I'm looking for one of the following things. So we don't have anything in this file, so it's confused. I guess no syntax. If there's nothing there, then it's a syntax error. This is another cool thing about Elm is the error messages you get are just super slick. Like you could probably write your entire program just by following the error messages. They're just extremely polite, and I met the guy who designed this and like wrote these error messages, and it's super cool. Like I can tell that he wrote these because he's a cool guy. Seems like he would write cool error messages. And helpful, extremely helpful, I should say. Tells you what file it was in, what line number, like, whoa, what? No. It tells you what kind of problem is and maybe a possible solution. Like if you have a typo, for instance, I've done this a lot, it'll say, oh, I can't find this variable. Maybe you meant this variable, and it's just like, I think it's just like fuzzy matching or something, and it's helped me so many times. Like, I've done huge refactors before, and then I just follow the errors to fix all my typos, because I just fat finger everything, I guess. So the next thing, I think my mic is slipping down, is called the Elm REPL. So do you know what a REPL is? Read, about, print, loop. So you can type, once you install Elm, by the way, you install Elm by doing npm install -g Elm. Like I already have installed, so it's not real. So I can say Elm REPL, and the first little bit takes a while to, I can say hello, and then it gives me say H. That's a char. So single quotes mean char, double quotes, the string. Two, number, or, yeah. So we'll get into this a little bit later. And then there's this thing called Elm format. So this was inspired by, so this is kind of cool how this moves language forward. Like, and this was inspired by Go, I think, Elm Funked. Has anyone heard of Elm Funked in Goland? Go Funked, did I say that right? Go Funked? Not a lot of Go developers there, one or two. Format, yeah. So Elm has Elm format. So the cool thing is, has anyone ever gotten into a debate about how they should be formatting your own code? No, Yeah. So what's cool is it's just kind of gets rid of that debate. It's kind of silly. We just agree upon a specified standard, and then everyone's code is easier to read. There's probably some more nuances than that, but essentially you write your code, you run Elm format, and then it does all the spacing, and it's kind of like Pep 8 right, in Python. You just, follows a standard. An Elm package, the installing, semantic versioning, etc. You can publish things. Then there's Ellie, it's kind of like CodePen, and then Elm packages, this is where you would search for packages. So you could search for like, I don't know, Elm HTML tree or something. And then it shows me the documentation for that. So really nice documentation too. So I want to talk about the Elm architecture really fast. How many of you know what two-way data binding is? Okay, how many of you know that it's slowly been moving from two-way data binding to like what's it called? Single unidirectional, right? And so that's kind of where Elm is at, the unidirectional side. So I'm going to maybe talk loudly. So there's this thing. Can you hear me okay? Okay, so there's three different aspects to the Elm architecture. There's the model, right, which is right there. And then there's also something called the view, all right? So let's say that's the view. The orange one is the view. Wait. Okay. So, and then there's also something else called the update. All right, so can you say model? Okay, update? Update. View. All right, and then sound it out. Love, right? Okay. So model, update, view, love. Just remember that. The model is where you describe your data. In Elm, you kind of treat data as like radioactive material, and you need to make sure what your data looks like at all times. So you describe your data, you have some type, it looks like JSON, it's called a record, and then your model over here essentially drives, it drives, and that's when you get a bug, it falls apart, but your view, okay, let's talk about the view. So your view is actually like HTML, except the view is, how can I describe it? It's functions, it's really cool in Elm. And you can write HTML in native Elm code. So in React, you can write it using JSX, but in Elm, you just use Elm to write your view code. And so you'd have like a div function. It would take two lists. The first list would be attributes. The second list would be more functions, like P would be a function for a paragraph tag. And so anyways, the model, man, it's hard to demonstrate this with juggling. So the model is like doing stuff. It's not really, so your model is moving forward, right? Your model is like scooting forward the entire application. And as things, it's not working as well as I had hoped. It moves your whole application forward. And so the view over here, on the one hand, is directly tied to the model. So anything that you want to represent in your application, you have to have something in the model to do that. And so the model over here drives the view. The model drives the view. Okay, so how do we change the model? Well, that's where the update function comes in. Inside the view, you can think of it as like emitting these pieces of data that, have you used Redux before? Okay, one? Okay, so Redux was, I think, inspired by this, the Elm system of how to do things. So the update function, it changes the data model, and then that in turn changes the user interface, changes the view, and it just, everything kind of scoots forward. And the cool thing about that is, if you keep track of all those changes, then you can also scoot backwards in time. And that's the whole idea of the debugger. So, clear as mud. So, let's actually do a demo so I can explain this a little bit better. So I haven't yet picked what I'm going to do for the demo, which might sound really risky, and so I hope you forgive me. Let's see. So I'm going to go to elmling.org/try. And then, look at that. You can actually just pick one. All right, so let's pick Hello World as our first demo. So the first thing we do is we import HTML and we expose text. And then we write this main function that returns text. So the other thing is there's type annotation. So you say main, and this returns. You say, well, let's find out. Let's compile and see what happens. Okay, maybe HTML.html. HTML.message. So it like guides you along. Okay, forget about that. Fail. String. So it can't be a string because does anyone know? Do you know what the type annotation for this should be? Here, let's try something here. So let's go back to this little demo directory, and let's edit the main file. Let's paste this in here, oh boy. And then let's just say text. And then, okay, so now I'm going to say elm make main dot elm, and let's turn on warnings. Okay, warning. Top level value main does not have a type annotation. I inferred this type annotation so you can copy it into your code. So we can copy this, and then we won't have that error anymore. Okay. So now I can run Elm Reactor, and then we'll see the same stuff that we were just seeing over here on some port, wherever we are. Okay, I can refresh this, and then we see Hello World at the top in front of the screen, and then we also see the Explore History over here, which is kind of cool. So let me see. Let me open up an example maybe. Let's see, CD code. Is this fun for you guys? I told my wife that I'd be typing in front of you. And by the way, this is my wife. Give it up for Rita. She's a full-time entrepreneur. That's great. Okay, so let's go into code and Elm apps. All right, let's pick one. Which one looks interesting to you? How about, let's just do all of them. So here's a better look at the Elm reactor. So now we're serving on 8,000, and here we go. So it loads the README down here from that directory, shows what dependencies we have, and then it shows a helpful summary of your project, less than 80 characters, which is just what you get inside of Elm package.json. And then there's some different things. So like you can draw your, let's see, I'm trying to think. This is how you might draw your GitHub contributions graph. It's still a work in progress, but you could do ask Eric, so okay. How about reversing a string? Okay, and also let me go out of this mode. Okay, so I'm going to hit Explore History, and this is the content. So right now my data model just has content. So, and I should also show the code behind this. So code, Elm apps, then reverse. Okay, so that's the other thing is you're going to be writing way more code than you would be in JavaScript land. That's just how it is. You have to get used to it. Because of the types, because of handling every error. So like, if you want to make an HTTP request, you have to write the code. You're forced to write the code to handle the error. Otherwise, the compiler actually complains and says, sorry, something could possibly go wrong. You need to handle the error. And that's the nice thing about Elm, is because it's a new language, it's not a new framework, it's a new language. So because of that, it can actually enforce a lot of the strictness. And it kind of feels like a straitjacket at first, but in the end, it's really liberating. Like, it's very simple. There's not a lot of keywords to learn. There's I think the biggest learning curve is just functional programming in general. So that's, yeah. But it's worth it. Like, it's an investment. And even if you don't end up writing Elm, then you could still use that later on. So type alias model, and then this is how our model is initialized as empty string. This type is a message in our program, so it's just data, so change string. So then this is our update function. So as soon as it sees new content coming in, then it updates the model, and this is a pure function. It doesn't modify variables outside of it. It just takes in a model and it produces a model. And then I just noticed there's no type annotation. Oh, there is up here. So this update function takes in a message and a model and produces another model. And then the view code down here, can you see that okay? Oh, was I just rambling on? You couldn't even see this? Oh, man. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's...
There's a setup where you can echo that screen on these two levels.
Yeah, right now we're just doing Chromecast, so we only can pick one. But but I could change it to this one just for. Okay, so this probably also, there's a lot of things that just look weird in Elm. I'm not going to deny that, but once you start using it, you get really used to it. So this is a div, you've probably seen that before. Style is a list of tuples, margin 1m. There's this h1 text, and then it has a text node, which is just string reverse app. And then there's some input, and the input actually, every time you type something, then it emits this message called change, and then that moves the model forward. And then inside of this other text, or this other div, is the text, and it's just taking the data from the model content and it's reversing it. Did that all make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so it's all about functions and passing things, and so this view up here, yeah. So this view up here is taking in the model, and then it's accessing something in the model. It's passing this to the function, and then that gets rendered. Let's see. The update is just another function. It's taking in two things: a message and a model. And then this is a switch case statement. So if the message is change, then change takes a string, which is the stuff from the input field, and it pushes the model forward. So let's try that out. All right, so I'm going to just troubleshoot. I just want to test to see if this works really fast. So I'm not sure if it's working. Let's see. Is it working? Okay. So polite. Okay, how about
Mom.
what?
Mom.
Mom? Does someone have a better example?
I'm mad.
What's that?
I'm mad.
I'm mad. Okay, so see the stuff on the left-hand side of the screen? So this is the messages that are getting emitted, and then what is like along with them. And you can scroll through them. So we can replay what we just saw. And then let's say like your browser doesn't work with this app for some reason, and I'm like, what's going on? Or let me see where you're at, and I can actually export this whole thing. Maybe? Oh, I think I have to resume. Okay, so I'm going to export this whole thing. So see, I just downloaded this history text file, and it's just like a bunch of stuff in there. And then I can say, let's refresh. Let's open and explore history. And then I'm going to import. And I can import something from downloads. Okay. And there's our state. And like everything is there again. So that's kind of cool. So I could pass you a file, and then you could just import that, and you would end up somewhere where, like, if your program is bigger than this, which it probably will be, then you'll see all these like things going by. So, all right, so that's the end of the demo. I'm sorry I didn't do live coding, but I wanted to turn it over to those of you who have laptops. I have stickers, large ones and small ones, and so if you can show me that, like, at least you opened the Elm website, or actually tried Elm browser using something like this Elmling examples page, or anything, then I'll give you a sticker. And that's everything. So thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
All right, so everybody wants stickers, right? Let's all meet up at maybe over this table over here, and bring your laptops, and then everybody can group together and do it all at the same time for checking out Elm and running Elm as far as a live demo. Everybody can give another hand to this great presentation. It was great. It was great. If anybody has any more questions about stuff, we're sticking around for beyond the stickers for Q&A. If anybody has any questions about web devs, about the hackathon, or anything else, hit me up. Chris and Val are here. They look like Chris and Val, so you'll probably go find them and hit one out. Fine. So yeah, thanks everybody for being here, and feel free to hang out. I think afterwards, when we clean up, we're all going to go to, or some of us are going to level up. Feel free to join us and continue the discussion. Thanks everybody.